and welcome to another Wellness Wednesday. This week, I wanted to talk about range of motion and why it's so important for our overall health and wellness. When we think about range of motion, if we break it down to its most simplest parts, it is the distance your body is able to move in different movements. So thinking about a squat, being able to squat as low as you can, and how for different people, depending on their flexibility, their range of motion can be dramatically different. Ideally, we want to make sure that we have proper range of motion, because there are times where we can get into a really super deep squat, but it is very difficult and it is not proper of how our bodies were designed to move. Anatomically, our bodies have very wide ranges of motion in certain movements. So certain joints like our shoulders and our hips are very mobile when it comes to just their anatomy. The joints in and of themselves have a lot of mobility. But over time, if we shift our focus away from that mobility, then those joints can tighten up, especially with the muscles around them not being stretched. And we can really start to deter the proper movement of our body. When we're not able to move our body in proper ways, then we start to lead to poor movement patterns that can lead to injury, as well as lead to even more improper movement patterns. And so if we think about it, we can go from the bottom up. So how our ankles move and how well those are mobile are going to affect how our knees move, and how our knees move will affect our hips, and then how our hips move can affect our spine, and that can affect our shoulders into our neck. So really, we want to think whole picture. We want to make sure that our entire body has proper mobility and can move in those proper movement patterns. There are many, many ways that you can actually work on your range of motion, and it doesn't have to be just stretching. Stretching can be helpful, but you can also work on your range of motion and your mobility while you exercise. So while you're doing strength training, trying to get as deep as you can in your squats, making sure you're using correct movement patterns, so that way we can reinstate how our body should move properly. Yoga is a wonderful way to get into a better range of motion, especially when you have more of a flowing motion of yoga, because then it incorporates that motion and movement, where just regular stretching can help, but range of motion requires that motion, and being able to incorporate that into your exercise and your mobility work really helps to increase that mobility and your range of motion. By having increased range of motion, you tend to have better posture, you tend to have less incident of injury, you move better, so overall you feel better. And then we also, if you have goals of getting stronger, a great way to do that is to work on your mobility. With better mobility, we're able to recruit specific muscles in a more proper way, so we become more efficient, in case making us stronger.